How we doing, guys? And a happy Sunday to all. It's the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast, and I am your host, Richie. Improv show today. Literally no promotion for the show. Woke up this morning at my girlfriend's house and honestly just want to really speak about a lot of things going on in the sports world that I haven't necessarily been able to focus on. Unless you live under a rock, you know that Shohei Ohtani is the richest baseball player soon to be in the history of Major League Baseball. This deal, on so many levels, while it's pretty incredible, is also kind of depressing in a way because I think it screams the death of normality in terms of what contracts could and should look like. And quite frankly, don't get too attached to any players that play for your team moving forward because this literally resets the market. Not to mention that, it's a little egregious. There's a lot of things that could be said. We're talking 10 years, $700 million. Does this deal ruin baseball? I'm not sure yet. I think that needs to be revealed. This is, of course, a sport that does not have a salary cap. They do have luxury tax thresholds that teams that overspend have to pay out to teams with lesser payrolls. It's part of the reason why teams like the New York Yankees and the Boston Red Sox over the years have sometimes held back with salary. I said on a previous show that this year Brian Cashman, Hal Steinbrenner, the people that are in control with the New York Yankees are throwing shade to the wind because of the sheer fact that they want to compete. Richard Dorney, I know this man. F the Dodgers. Yeah, Rich. But come on, buddy, let's be honest. Are any of us truly surprised? You didn't really think he was going to go to Toronto, did you? I certainly didn't. I did a little four-piece hot take. Omar Pinto Rage. It's a lot of money. I'm surprised the Yankees couldn't go grab him, but also heard he was being very difficult. He's the best player in the league. He can ask, yeah, absolutely. And I the way I look at it, Omar, is like you can never really hate the players when the billionaires are the guys, up top that are making a lot of egregious money. It kind of sucks for the fans on certain levels out there. I mean, I can't even imagine what a hot dog or a beer is going to cost in Dodger Stadium. But back to this. I want to talk specifically about Shohei. This is a player, Shohei Ohtani, who gets a lot of credential comparisons to a Babe Ruth. He pitches. He's considered a top 10 to 15 pitcher. He's also considered a top 5 offensive player. He is the league's MVP, the American League. Now he's crossing over to the National League. And this is a guy, in my opinion, that if he wants to continue pitching at a high level, eventually is going to have to get the Tommy John surgery done. I thought going into this offseason for sure that his original demands that his team was putting out for the $700 million, which ultimately he got, was not going to be met because of the sheer fact that if you take away the pitching aspect of this man's game, he is a designated hitter, folks. $700 million for a designated hitter, and no offense to Shohei, he's a hell of a talent. What has he won? What influence has he had on the teams that he has already played on over the previous 6 years that has helped them get to anything other than a regular season exit, not even a playoff exit? It's kind of wild. Now, the Dodgers have literally thrown all shade to the wind over the years about their spending habits. This is a team that has been, in my opinion, the mass underachievers. Because outside of a 60-game pandemic season, they do not have anything to show in terms of World Series since 1988. Yamamoto time. Richard Dorney III, Yamamoto time. Actually, Rich, I do believe that this does come down possibly between the New York Yankees and the New York Mets. I'll put it to you like this. I think Uncle Stevie might outbid us, but I think ultimately it comes down to where does this guy want to go? If it's a couple of million and he chooses the Mets, I'll be honest with you, I don't really want him if that's the case. There's no disrespect, Rich. That would be a head scratcher to me if only a couple million kept him from putting on the pinstripes. Luis Helena. Yo, Luis, what are your thoughts on this ridiculous contract, bro? I'm just mind blown. I just can't believe that a team is willing to pay this. You know, you talk about a guy like a Juan Soto who's on an expiring contract with the New York Yankees. You talk about some of the finest pitchers in Major League Baseball. Does this truly shatter, just absolutely shatter the market, similar to what the Deshaun Watson deal did in football? I think the comical thing about the Deshaun Watson deal is, like, if any quarterback was going to shatter the market, I don't think anybody would have expected Deshaun Watson. Yes, indeed, sir. It is insane. Continue to hit me with some of your thoughts, gentlemen. I'm going to put up my finalized NFL picks today. Not really going to speak on them unless somebody wants to talk about it, but I do want you guys, the viewers, to see my final picks in case you're playing some parlays or just kind of wondering what's on my mind. I'm going against two picks I made previously this week. I talked myself out of some of it. Just going to give you guys an opportunity to see the scores flying across the screen. The home teams are in caps. And while I let this roll across the screen, I do want to talk about Von Miller. The Von Miller issue shows a larger problem in the NFL. It's not new news that many women have been victims of violence to NFL players. This is not new news, kids. I think one of the most egregious things was back when Ray Rice assaulted his girlfriend in an elevator. The initial punishment was only 2 games by Commissioner Roger Goodell. The video needed to be shown, and then it turned into basically he was done forever. But I believe that even a situation here like a Von Miller, where certain evidence is coming out that maybe it wasn't a physical altercation, but at minimum possibly a threatening altercation, it's bothersome on a lot of levels. I think the NFL kind of spits in the face of a good portion of their fan base. I don't think the NFL truly realizes how many women buy their gear, watch the games, love the sport. And when you see all too often that behavior off the field just doesn't seem to really shake the tree of the NFL's bigger bottom line, I must admit I take issue with it. And, you know, when you just think about other things that have happened in more recent society, with Roe versus Wade going backwards, with women in the year 2023 feeling like maybe they're living in the 1920s, or maybe the 1820s for that matter. It's bothersome on so many levels. This is a deep subject and not one that I'm going to divulge into completely, but I'm just going to say this, and I mean this from a very honest place. The NFL has to uphold a better standard for the way that their players carry themselves off the field. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's a professional athlete's responsibility to be anybody's role model. Charles Barkley explained that in the 90s, that parents need to be role models. And I tend to agree with Charles. These are entertainers. But I'm sorry. There has to be a happy medium with some of this crap. And big fail on the part of the NFL. Von Miller is suiting up today. Alvin Kamara got into a situation earlier this year. It didn't involve a woman, it involved another man. But I think the ultimate point that I'm trying to make here and trying to drive home is that off the field, there's been too much violence regarding NFL players. And I don't think the powers that be are really that worried about it. What are we promoting here? What are we selling here? It's certainly not character. The New York Rangers are on their first losing streak of the season after suffering a 4-0 loss to the Washington Capitals yesterday. My question to you, the viewers, Is having the best record and winning the President's Trophy a curse in the NHL? Well, for the better part of 2 decades, I would have to say yes. Having said that, taking it way back to when the New York Rangers won their last Stanley Cup, which was 1994, my dad's not here for me to complain to. But man, I'm pissed off that dad didn't take me out of school that day. He was on one of the floats with Alexei Kovalov. And found out that Alexei was a collector of many a treasure trove. Didn't know that. As well as a consumer of really good vodka. Getting back to the serious part of this, I don't know if I have an answer. Right now, the Boston Bruins are 2 points ahead of the New York Rangers. They're a lone matchup, so the Rangers win 7-4. A lot of people feel that the Bruins are overachieving right now. Now, granted, this is a team that had a historical season last year, only to see it go up in flames in 7 games against the eventual Eastern Conference champion, Florida Panthers. I will say this as a hockey fan. There's a part of me that does not want the Rangers to have the best overall record because I think it puts on a lot of weird pressure. But the NHL playoffs, no matter what we think as fans and no matter what we know as fans, it is the most difficult and complex tournament to win, possibly outside of the NCAA tournament. Hockey is a different kind of animal and a different kind of intensity to win Lord Stanley's Cup. And one thing that I do appreciate about the NHL still is that when I compare it to other sports around the board and about the way that I get so frustrated with piss poor officiating, I think for the most part, the NHL still leads the way in terms of officiating. Got some comments rolling in. Idris Salam, my co-host. You know, it's crazy. They'll suspend you for smoking weed or smoking like that, but suit you up with some type of abuse. Would you like to come on in and say hello? You're welcome to. Come on in. It's okay.
Go say good morning.
You can say good morning. You want to come on in? Get a little camera shot.
You want to say good morning?
Idris, I couldn't agree more, man.
Just say good morning.
Josh Gordon, Ricky Williams.
Say what's up.
These are dudes. These are dudes that were literally banished from the league for trying to heal their bodies with something that grows from the earth. You look at the 1970s and you look at all the issues. You look at all the issues with guys checking out early because of all the damage they were doing to their livers and bodies with all the pills. And it's really disgusting that, you know, it took for society to be a little more accepting that that was a better way to heal one's body and to calm one's nerves down than the epidemic that Big Pharma has put on us. I think it's disgusting, dude. Truly, truly disgusting. Mr. Idris said hello, buddy. Enjoy your cereal.
Mr. Idris said hello. Enjoy your cereal.
Idris, since I got you on, I want to hear about some of this. Why we, the boxing fans, need Benavidez versus Canelo. I'll start it up here. Every generation, every 15 or so years, you get that one fight that draws in boxing fans from all over the world. I believe that this is the kind of match that should Canelo defeat the young lion, it puts him in a place where he and only he stands alone in terms of greatness. You know, one thing I admire about Canelo, he took a chance, got out of his weight class. Don't really consider that an L. His only other loss was as a very young fighter against the great Floyd Mayweather. And I grind my teeth when I say the great Floyd Mayweather, because I think part of greatness is not handpicking your opponents. Nonetheless, from a defensive standpoint, one of the greatest fighters ever. And from a success standpoint, just a guy who knew how to get the maximum out of promoting a fight and get the most out of a gate. But you and I both know, Idris, revisiting Floyd's career, it seems like he waited and waited and waited for Manny Pacquiao to be a fraction of the fighter he was once upon a time before he went head-to-head with him. Mayweather's actually older than Pacquiao. Spoke about this with my barber the other day. And my reply to my barber was, yes, but Pacquiao has a lot more miles on him. So I don't know. I I think that this is what the fight fans want, need, and deserve. And what's interesting about Benavidez is that he just doesn't stop. He has like a body clock and a training regimen that just he will never stop punching. His aggression usually picks up from round 3 to the end. He usually the first couple of rounds he's known for feeling out his opponents. We get Idris's reply here. I'll start it up here because Benavidez is the name of 168. He's beating everyone in his division, and Canelo is fighting guys smaller than him, with the exception of Bivol. Benavidez is the one natural fighter at the weight he'll be fighting. Yeah, the exception of Triple G. I know what you meant, Idris. Little misspell. I got you. Well, let me ask you, Idris, what's your prediction if these guys do lock horns? I have a feeling this might be more geared towards like the summer of 24 or possibly around Christmas time next year, where the gate for this fight is going to be massive. I'll tell you my prediction. I think you're looking at a trilogy. I think Benavidez has to literally put Canelo down during the course of the fight to get the dub. If he outboxes him and if by chance he's winning on points, I don't think he gets the nod. But I think you're looking at a trilogy here. But fight one, I'll just say it now, Canelo's going to win it one way or the other. Ooh, Benavidez split decision win. I like that shout. Flipping it to the NBA for a moment, LeBron James wins the in-season tournament MVP. Who looks championship caliber in the early going? I got to say right now, the Minnesota Timberwolves, what they're doing right now in the NBA is quite impressive. Karl Anthony Towns, Rudy Gobert as their third best player, maybe their fourth, maybe their fifth, depending on if you ask Draymond Green. That's all joking. Rudy is a defensive specialist. Anthony Edwards. What more can you say about him? He's an easy guy to root for. But while they're having a phenomenal regular season, they don't strike me as a team that's going to win it all. They just don't. I am a little perturbed and surprised by the struggles of the Golden State Warriors. This is something that goes back to last year where I just feel that the Warriors are just not a good road team. And you can't be a championship caliber team if you can't be a good road team. Lakers are still fakers. I'm not really buying into them. The defending world champions that happen to be from out west, the Denver Nuggets, I believe that they very much so have a chance of repeating. But I said this the other day on a hot take that I dropped. I believe that this is the year for the Boston Celtics. I really mean that. There's a lot of reasons to believe that they could win. I mean, Jason Tatum is one of the greatest basketball players on the planet. But I truly do believe that that addition of Kristaps Porzingis, assuming that he stays healthy, could be a big reason. You want to come up? Could be a big reason why the Celtics get it done. I feel that he gives them an added dimension to their offense that they did not have. Not to mention that for a guy his size, he is one of the purest free throw shooters in the game at his position. Celtics, getting way ahead of myself here, but I'm going to go Celtics Nuggets NBA Finals. We're not even at the midway point. Way too early prediction. But how about those Orlando Magic, though, this year? Brett and I talked about this many times. I've been to my fair share of Magic games, always against the Knicks. Brett takes me once a year to make sure that I get a chance to watch Knicks. And I must admit that Orlando is truly turning into the team I thought they would be. That young talent is all arriving at the same time. I just hope that what Orlando could do this time around that they weren't able to do in previous regimes of their history is keep their teams together. That has always been an issue, selling the city of Orlando as a place that you want to play a whole career at. They lost Shaquille O'Neal. They lost Penny. They lost Dwight, just to name a few. T-Mac as well. Wolves look good. Edwards plays hard. The Warriors are getting old. They don't have the bench chemistry they had in the past. Boston could be that team. Philly looks good. Denver is still Denver. The in-season tournament is a participation trophy event. It sure is, dude. I mean, now that they're giving out like trophies for Western and Eastern Conference MVPs, that even kind of annoys me a little. You know? And don't get me started on this All-Star game. It's funny, Idris. I was looking at one of our old episodes. It was myself. Shout out PB Rardo. He was on the show as well as Bretsky. You weren't participating in that show, but this might ring a bell to you. And we were talking about how terrible that All-Star game has become compared to, hell, you had Magic Johnson that was sitting out over a year when he unfortunately contracted the HIV virus. He comes back as a novelty guest to be a member of the All-Star team. The fans voted him in to be the number one point guard in the Western Conference. And he wins the game's MVP, but does it legit, running with guys that he didn't play for about a year and a half, earning it. That was pretty awesome. But right now, the All-Star game, it's disappointing. They've made it the Kumbaya game where you pick your buddies and you play against your other buddies, and there's no East and there's no West and there's no intensity. The NBA sorely needs and misses that, because I remember when I was coming up, that was a day where everybody made time to watch that game, and it was quite the event. But, it's just not what it was anymore. These have been going across the screen for the better part of the show. Guys, got any upsets that you see that I'm not seeing? I did switch my pick. I originally had the Los Angeles Rams going into Baltimore, grabbing the dub, and then I thought better of it. New York Jets just can't win. Unfortunately, Aaron Rodgers will not return because these guys will not be able to put them in a position. This Bucs-Falcons game worries me a little. That could go either way. That's how close the two teams are. Got the Niners by 10. I switched my Viking pick. I thought better of it going with the Raiders. I got the Chargers winning an OT in a game that I feel their offense is just going to take care of biz. Khalil Mack is playing his ass off, even though they're not going anywhere. And I got the Buffalo Bills for the road dub in Arrowhead. The Bills can't beat them in the playoffs. The Chiefs can't beat them in the regular season. This is a regular season game. I'm going Buffalo. Dallas Cowboys are going to put up 42 on the Philadelphia Eagles and continue to expose the weaknesses of the Eagles. Pack by 7 over my beloved New York Giants. Got to admit, guys, not an easy game for me to watch. That was me and my father's jump off. Packers, Giants. But definitely we'll be thinking about him tomorrow, and we'll see what happens. I'd love to see the Giants prove me wrong. I just don't see them getting the W tomorrow. Got a few more comments rolling in. No. Stop playing, E. Idris benched Mahomes last night. You don't like him this week. I think you should play him. The All-Star game. Cube's big. Yeah, I think what Ice Cube is doing is more competitive. I couldn't agree anymore. I honestly cannot agree anymore about that. Idris, sooner than later, we only got a few more days left in the year. I want to get that 50th anniversary of Hip Hop Show up and running. We're going to get creative and talk about that off air. Mentioned it to our guy, Zay. Definitely want some contributions from everybody here. I'm not taking your advice ever again. You were being salty, bro. I didn't tell you to drop Dak Prescott. I mean, shoot, at least trade him. I know you hate the Cowboys, but that did blind you. Your hatred for the Dallas Cowboys blinded you on that. By the way, for the listeners and the viewers, King Richard stands atop Pop's Cheddar in the Sun League at 10-3. A victory in the championship this year will tie me with the league's namesake, my late father, Richard Hicks Sr. So we'll see if we can go back to back. Think I'm going to get out of here unless if anybody else wants to speak about something else. What's this, man? We got an elf over here. What's happening? Say hi, Noah.
Hello.
How you doing, buddy? You good?
Yes.
You want to talk about Godzilla? We watched Godzilla yesterday at the theater. Let's hear about it. What were your thoughts?
Okay, first thought. I thought Godzilla was going to stay alive forever. Then I was like, can't revive.
What did you think about the way that he was able to regenerate when they were trying to finish him off?
it was cool. Except he would keep regenerating. His blood goes back in. If you lose all of his blood, you can't regenerate.
Were you a little frustrated with the subtitles? Did you think they were moving a little too quick, considering that the movie wasn't in English?
Yes, so I couldn't. So I know if there were. So I know the English letters.
And what were your thoughts? Well, let me ask you. What were your thoughts on the food situation? You did pretty good on that popcorn yesterday. You did some Van damage on that, kiddo. And we saw some Christmas trees yesterday. That was kind of cool, right?
Right.
Got some pictures in. Why don't you come up here? That way everybody can see you. Ugh, show off those muscles.
We can post the pictures.
Idris, he stole Brett's hat. Brett usually wears this at his company Christmas party. King Richard pulled the Spygate on me.
Is it somebody's birthday this week?
Oh, yeah, that's right, Noah. Your birthday is coming up pretty soon. How old are you going to be?
7.
Very good. I like how you're just fixing your hat, throwing shade to the wind, not worried.
Yeah, I can make it red or green.
All right.
Yes, you can, baby. The toast is right there, Mama.
Oh, I didn't expect that.
I'm out for now, guys. Appreciate you hanging with me for a little while this AM. I hope everyone enjoys their football Sunday today. I was glad that we got some participation on the comments and happy that I was able to stretch this out into some better convo. Good time today. Try to get all G'd up on the screen. Yeah, he's a character, man. Great vocabulary for a 6-year-old. I do think that sometimes when he gets in front of the camera, he gets like maybe a little flustered because, he knows it's kind of different. But, definitely want to get him and my nephew on a video game show. I know that that'll be right up his alley. So in time, I'm going to give him the opportunity to do that. My nephew actually has a Twitch that he messes with, so that's kind of cool. Until next time, guys, I am Richie. I appreciate you spending a little time with me on this Sunday morning. And get at me in the comments once this is obviously live. Get at me in the comments. This Ohtani thing is an ever-moving story that's not going anywhere. And it's truly one worth talking about. And I think I was able to kind of spit out some frustration with the NFL and the way that they just let too many guys wild out and don't really give a damn. I'm sorry, guys. That's a rich history of some great men that played this game, and you're not upholding it to the best of your ability with some of the stuff that has gone down over the years. Roger Goodell, first, foremost, and always, never forget, is a politician. You blackballed a guy for protesting something that he believed was wrong. On the violence tip, hey, come back on Sunday. It's okay. You want to smoke weed? We banish you. Make it make sense, guys. Until next time, I'm out.